the shell, the Canvas shell.
Will you also be posting this like you do all the other assignments? You know, like in Canvas?
Will I be doing what with it?
Huh?
Will I be doing what with it?
You know how you post all the assignments in Canvas about what we have to do when to post them and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm going to go through right now.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to go through it step by step by step and make sure that we're on track for everything that you need to know. And most of the stuff that was supposed to be there, I put it up twice. A lot of the stuff that's up there has actually was put up early, and I'm putting it up late as well. And the reason for that is that I wanted people to have access to some of the things that you're going to need to be able to work with in order to write this essay early on, because it's a pretty difficult essay to write. A lot of people haven't done these before. Some people who have been in my English 1A class, they've written them before. But you know, by the time you get to an English 5 class, you're really supposed to have written this kind of essay before. But from having taught this for 20 years, I found that, you know, maybe 10% of the people in the class really know about this kind of an essay. And it's a reading-based argument.
No, it's okay. I got it.
I'm gonna go relieve.
Okay, if someone's coming through, so you might want to mute until you're ready to ask a question. Everybody know how to mute? So go ahead and mute so that noise doesn't come through. So,
Can I speak to Stephanie Nelson?
did someone have a question?
Calling over from City Health Urgent Care. Can I just have you verify your date of birth, please?
Who's that? Is that you, Hannah? No, it's not Hannah. Alexis. Alexis, you need to mute. Alexis, you need to mute. Good, there you go. I wanted to make sure that people had these facilities or the tools that they needed early on to be able to prepare for writing an essay of this type. And this type of essay means that you got to prepare for it. You got to set yourself up ahead of time. If you don't prepare for this essay ahead of time, what you wind up doing is you get down to the wire where the essay, the rough draft is due in a few days, and then you have to go back to the reading. You have to figure, where am I going to get all my support from? How am I going to find all of the quotes that I need for my paragraphs? Because if it's a reading-based essay, that means that you need to bring in at least 2 different items of support into every body paragraph. Every topic that you have, I want you to have 2 different items of support. So if you have to go back into the reading and find those from the beginning, that makes it very difficult. So that's why I put in early on. You see here, week number 2, I put in the essay prompt here, and I want to make sure that we're aware of the essay prompt. Here are the different things that I've assigned for you to take on. All 7 of these are available for you to use as your theme for your essay. Now, some of you, hopefully you've seen these before, and as you've gone through the reading, you've kind of zeroed in on one or another of these, and then you started annotating for it so that you're actually aware of you know, where you're going to get your support from. So down here, I say it's a 4-page essay, and I say that ideology is a part of each one of the topics, so I want you to focus on ideology. And then I say a requirement of this essay is that you use in some way all 3 of the sources, Lowen, Zinn, and Chomsky, and you're going to need to bring in at least 2 quotations into every body paragraph from them, which shouldn't be that difficult, because all of these people have something to say on these topics that we're working with. So hopefully you guys have zeroed in on a particular topic that you want to use. Some are easier than others. And some lend themselves to a fairly easy. Some are more interesting than others or more challenging. So you just need to decide what you want to do in terms of your own topic or your own theme. I don't want to call it topics because topic is something else. So down here I have essential elements of writing an argument essay. That's the next thing in the list. And so whenever you see one of these videos, I want you to watch it. And here we have some resources that are really useful to you in terms of the different elements of writing an argument essay. Like all of your paragraphs have to have topic sentences. The topic sentence in some way breaks down your thesis into a smaller argument. All of your topic sentences need to support your thesis statement. And then there's a handout on topic sentences here that you can go to learn more about topic sentences if you don't know that much about it. Pie paragraph. You know, how do you construct a paragraph? This is a fairly simple method of constructing a paragraph that talks about the P, which is the point, the I, which is the information or the support. That's another way to think about it. And then at the end of your paragraph, you don't want to, you know, have some support from somebody else in there because you want to be advancing your argument in some way. So at the end of your paragraph, you want to bring in your argument again and explain, that's the E, explain how all of this, how all of the support that you've got in there supports your topic sentence and supports your thesis statement. Now I've got a handout on thesis statements here, very critical element, and we're going to have a whole section on thesis statements where we're going to do a discussion on it. I'm going to give you feedback on your thesis statements. You guys are going to get feedback from each other on your thesis statements. So, but here there's a handout on thesis statements. So for those of you who are not familiar with what a thesis statement is, you can find out what a thesis statement is here. And then in a later handout, I get into some depth on you know, what you should and shouldn't do in a thesis statement. And then I've got a link to my website here. And then there's introductions and conclusions. Of course, that's another part of writing an essay that you need to be familiar with.
Sorry, Professor. They were
Yes.
doing some work upstairs and they threw me completely off my computer and I had to log all the way back on.
Oh, okay. So you missed a little of that. Is that what you mean, Than?
Yeah, I did, but I'll go back and record it. You know, you don't have to repeat it.
Right. It's going to be recorded and I'm going to send it out to everybody. So you can just.
Right. So I'll just pick up from, you know, from here.
Okay, great. Glad you're back.
Okay.
Okay, so go back to the modules. And the next element is the anatomy of a college level essay. So this is a helpful document because it's really a download. And that's why I put download on it. So you can actually download this to your computer and it's got the formatting on it for a MLA format. So once you download this to your computer, I think you download it just from here. Oh, that's it.
I may have already downloaded that because.
Right. So this is how you know, you can just download it. I think if you worry about clicking on something and then it's going to, yeah, it's going to download to your computer as a doc file. And that's using Microsoft Word. And you guys know that you've got, everybody has access to Microsoft Word in your student portal. So you can download this. What you're going to do is you're just going to change this up so that you're going to put your last name here. Once you download it, then you can change all of these different things up. This is going to be your full name, my full name, class name, etc. And then your essay is going to need a title that in some interesting way reflects your thesis. And one of my favorite methods of doing a hook was to put a block quote in here, some kind of a quotation that's going to be really central to something that I wanted to write about, central in a sense to my thesis statement. And then once I put that block quote there, then I'm going to start writing about that block quote right at the beginning of my essay. It's going to give me a way to start, you know, brainstorming about what I want to do in my essay and to start writing about something. So I want to use this block quote and start writing about it. So this is the formatting that I want you to use for block quotes. Notice that it's space and a half between the lines and it's in another inch on both sides. Notice that it's all left justified on the left-hand side. The right-hand side goes in and out. The same thing with the rest of the document. The rest of the document, the right-hand side goes in and out, and the left-hand side is all straight. It's even on the left-hand side. So I talk a little bit about you know, the hook at the beginning of the essay here. So you can read this because that's why I say it's the anatomy of it. And then I talk about, you know, indenting paragraphs, and then I talk about topic sentences. And here's another example of how to use a block quote. And so it's useful in terms of the formatting, etc., to just download it to your computer and to just use this file to write your essay on, and then to use the formatting to help you. So once you download it, you can just, highlight something, you can select it and then delete it, and then you can just put your own writing in there and start writing your essay. So this is a helpful tool. So moving on to week 3. So using quotations lesson handout with patterns. That's what I've been trying to convince people to do. I have a teaching portion of this in here with this video, and then there's the using quotations handout. This is a very useful handout for how do you introduce authors and sources. There's 2 different patterns I talk about, the in pattern, the according to pattern, and it's basically in the title, authors write, and then a quotation or a paraphrase claim. It can be used for quotations or paraphrase things. And then the according to, and this is like a jigsaw puzzle. You just fit whatever you're writing about in there. And then whenever you've introduced something the first time, from then on you use the author's last name, and then you never mention the title again. And then there's some more useful information in here about introducing quotations, about punctuating the titles of works. That's actually on the MLA quiz and on some other resources as well. So the using quotations handout is a useful resource for you guys. And so I want you to go over that. And then a teaching video from me, a word to the wise on your essays. So I want you to view this. It's got some interesting, helpful hints on writing the essay. I believe I talk here about, having the 2 sources in each paragraph, 2 quotations in each paragraph to support the points that you want to make. Some other things in here. I want you to view this. I don't want to take the time in this session here to view any of the different, the videos that you can watch on your own. Now the essay organization chart. Now I put this in here early. Notice we're still in week 3 here, so that you guys would see that you need to really organize your essays. And I've got a teaching portion here again, and here's the handout down here. And on this handout, you can see that, you got to put your thesis statement in here, and then topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, topic 4, etc. And this is a way for you to organize your, people talk about, writing an outline for an essay. Well, I wasn't that much into outlines. I just figure if you get your topics, you figure out what your topics are going to be, and then you find out who supports the particular topic I'm working with, then and put those things in here and create your outline with this particular format. So I'm thinking you can download this, and you can either by hand or you can, on your computer, you can, make this, more spaces in between here if you've got more support for the different sources, etc. So finding topics is kind of tricky. I think the best advice I can give you for finding a topic is once you know what your thesis statement is going to be, search for topics in the reading that you're doing. Find a topic that works as support for your thesis statement, for your argument, and then use that topic and reframe it in your own words. Of course, you can't use the words of someone that you're working with, but I have no problem with you finding a topic somewhere and using that as a topic for yourself. And then once you have your topic, then get more support, other people that have something to support exactly what's in that particular topic. So if you're at a loss for topics for your argument, then look for your topics in the reading. That way you can, find topics for yourself. That's a very helpful handout, and I hope you guys use it. Or, it's obviously easy enough to create one of those on your own, just on a Word doc or just on a piece of paper if you want to do it by hand. And then I do talk here about the organization chart handout and how important that kind of a thing is, how important organization is. Can't do it without organization. Okay, and so I have here early on how to annotate online for the class. So I was hoping that you guys looked at this early, because I was hoping that everybody would be annotating up to this point. Now we're on week 7, and I'm hoping that everybody's been annotating so that you don't have to go back and start from scratch, like I said before. And then we're starting with the reading assignments here. And so we're getting into now the meat of the, of the content that you're going to be basing your essay on. And then once we get up here to week number 8 is when we start working on the thesis statements and MLA formatting and all that kind of stuff. So the beginning of week number 8 has a discussion post on your thesis statements. So I talk about thesis statements in here. Thesis statements are a critical element in writing a good essay. So you want to make sure that you have a good, strong, good focused thesis statement. Sentence focus is really important in a thesis statement, and sentence focus, I teach that in my 1A class, but I do have a handout on sentence focus in the extra credit section at the bottom, if you want to take a look at that. But you need to have a really well-constructed thesis statement. Thesis statement can be 1 or 2 sentences, comes at the end of your introduction. It's the last sentence or 2 in your introduction, as it says on the handout that I showed you previously. And these are some things that you should and should not do in a thesis statement. So a lot of these are what not to do in a thesis statement. So I want to make sure you go over these things very carefully to make sure that you're not doing the wrong thing when you're creating a thesis statement. Maybe I should go over these really quickly so that you're aware of them. It comes at the end of the introduction. It should not be a solution-based argument, because we don't have enough in our reading to talk about a solution. So you shouldn't be saying should in there. Should means that you're going to be talking about a solution. You want to have a statement of the problem, some sort of a problem in your thesis statement. Your thesis statement cannot be a simple statement of fact, something that no one would disagree with, because it's got to be an argument. If we're talking about our assignment, and that is that ideology has to be a part of it, well, anything that's ideological can't be a simple statement of fact. So a fact is not going to allow you to write an argument about it. So you got to make sure that you're not saying something that no one would disagree with. Don't put a list of topics in your thesis statement. That's the 5-paragraph essay model from high school. And what that means is if you put a list of your topics in your thesis statement, that means that you're not going to be able to put an argument in there, because all you're going to be doing is saying, I will do this, this, and this. That's not an argument. So don't do the high school model 5-paragraph essay. Do not just put one of your topics in there, because then you'd have to write your whole essay on just one topic. Figure out what your topics are, then go more general, something that you can use your topics to support, all of your topics to support. Of course, it goes without saying almost that your thesis shouldn't be in the form of a question, but I do get that sometimes, so I need to make sure that I let people know, it has to be an affirmative statement of some kind, an argument. It has to be an argument of your own. Do not have your thesis statement be in the form of a quotation from a source. Don't let somebody else state your thesis for you. And don't say I agree in your thesis statement, because you need to have a standalone thesis statement that has your own separate argument in it. So this is the actual discussion post. So then I talk about what you need to do in terms of responding to other people in your discussion post on your thesis statement. So I find that this is one of the most helpful things that we work on, because as you put up your thesis statement, you can find out whether your thesis statement works. And after people respond to your thesis statement, then I'm going to jump in there and I'm going to also help you out with your thesis statement and give you some pointers on how to make it better. Okay. So now we're getting into MLA format and MLA citation. So there's some resources here on MLA citation and so on. A very useful tool that I have for you that I want you to know about, that I want to make sure I don't forget to point out, is this thing. You can use this, download and edit out the sources that you don't use in your essay. So I don't want you guys to have to figure out how to create the works cited page. It's very complicated with a lot of details, and I don't provide you with the full text for all of the reading that we've got. So it would be practically impossible for you to create a works cited page. So I make it super easy for you. So I really want to see you have a works cited page at the end of your essay. And I make it easy because if you click on that download button, here's your works cited page. I'm going to have to fix this because it's, well, yeah, it's got a lot of different stuff in here. So this one is going to work for you because it's got all the different things that we've read this semester. So what you want to do is you want to download this to your computer and then delete the things that you don't use. Everything that we have in here is on here. If you add something from the internet or something that you want to add, then you're going to have to add it yourself. But basically, you can just download this, and if you want to get rid of this particular one, I can't highlight it here because it needs to be downloaded. But then you can just highlight and get rid of things that we haven't read in the class.
So this basically have a list of all the readings that we've done in the class, so we can just use this to put in our essay to cite instead of looking it up.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So you notice that some things that we got later on. Howard Zinn is here, Jonathan Kosel, James Lowen. Here's James Lowen.
Yeah.
So most of the stuff that's in here. If there's something that isn't in there, let me know and I'll help you out with it. But I think it's all there. There's
and if we find something, we make sure that we add ours to this.
Right. And you can see how it's formatted just by looking at this. And on our handout, it does talk about how to
yes, it does right here. I see it. To add a source.
Right.
On the handout. Yeah, I printed it off the computer.
This down here at the bottom, this handout explains the ins and outs of MLA citation. It's down here at the bottom.
Okay.
A specific guide. So here's the handout on how to do MLA citation.
Okay,
There's the works cited page.
Yeah.
Everything you want to know. There's like an inch thick book on MLA citation, Modern Languages Association citation. But this is all you need, really, is this particular handout. Okay, and it explains how in here how to download it and how to all of the different things that you need to do in terms of downloading off this and turning it into something that you can actually edit. And then I've got the how to take a quiz here. And whenever I give you something to do, I always give you how to do it, a video tutorial from Canvas. And then I've got the MLA citation quiz. I don't think people have taken that yet. And then this is a reintroduction of how to introduce authors and sources. Now that we're doing citation, it's not as important that you use the patterns unless you introduce something with the full name of the author and the full title of the works. Because if you cite somebody, with the parentheses at the end, then you don't necessarily have to put the full source. But there may be a way that you might want to warrant it. You may want to say, the title of the publication. If you do that, then you're going to want to use one of an in pattern or according to pattern, and make sure that you do that correctly. And here we're getting into some of the same things that we've had before that I want to make sure that you're, what happens sometimes is that people don't notice them in the first go around. And so I want to make sure I put them in twice so that the next time around, you'll make sure that you'll see these different things. We've already gone over all this different stuff. So and then you turn in your rough draft here. And if you turn it in on time, it's important because then I'll have enough time to respond to it and enough time for you to turn the final draft in on October 23rd. That gives you 5 full days after you turn in the rough draft to turn in the final draft. So I can give you some feedback on it, and I can steer you in the right direction so that you make sure you get, I want to give everybody an A on this. I want you to learn this particular element, because it's, writing these kinds of essays are extremely important for you to be successful, especially if you transfer to a four-year college. If some of you you're going to be in nursing or radio technology or something like that, it's not as important that you learn how to write this type of an essay. But anybody who's going on to a four-year school, you got to learn how to write these essays. Very important. And then here comes the final draft. And then we got the essay, or then we're going around for round 2. Okay, so here's our second essay prompt here. With the same kind of thing, we got 8 new topics to work with.
So will you give us topics for this essay?
Topics for this essay are up here.
Oh,
I think that's, you stepped out when I did this.
Is it the ones that we already have?
What's that?
Is it the first essay prompt assignment that you gave?
This one, first essay prompt.
Okay, so
These are our topics.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, I'm available for Zooms, one-on-one Zooms. If you're in the middle of something, you want to Zoom, or if you have a quick question. Remember, email is not that good for some things, because if you ask me a question on email, you got to be really, really specific about exactly what you're asking for. Otherwise, I won't really understand it, and we'll get in this weird back and forth. We'll all be answering the wrong question, and it just doesn't work. So, sometimes even if we do a chat, it works a little bit better. If you don't want to do a Zoom, you want to do a quick chat. But, Zoom works so well because then we can throw things up and I can do screen share and all of that stuff. So no reason really not to do a Zoom. I think it's the best way.
This is real helpful.
Mm-hmm. So any questions?
Yeah, I just have one question.
Okay.
So you were saying that when we pick our thesis statement, that it needs to be our own argument.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were talking about the format that you showed us, like, are you expecting us to have like a quote in each paragraph to support? Because you said we have our thesis statement and then we have our topics in each paragraph to support it, right?
Right.
So are you looking for a quote in each paragraph to like support each statement too?
Yes, I'm looking for at least 2 different items of support, and more could be better. More is actually better because these are reading-based arguments. So you need to bring in support from the reading for all of your topics, all of your body paragraphs. I want to see support in there.
Okay.
So, you can bring in a quote into your introduction, but don't turn your introduction into with a lot of support in it, into a body paragraph. You need to make sure that your introduction is actually an introduction. And so that's where, if you go through the
little
anatomy of a college level essay, this one, it
right,
does talk about what
the one that you took, this right here, this chart right here.
Mm-hmm.
This will help us to, if we put it down here and then put it into that format.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So okay. I see.
Get the idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
Good.
Okay.
Anything else?
No. It's due on the 23rd, right?
I don't know off the top of my head when it's due, but it's in
but it's somewhere, so we got time.
Yeah, we got time. We're doing this early enough. We're doing this early enough.
Okay.
Let me see, week number 7, week number 8.
Okay.
Rough draft is due on the 18th.
Okay. Yeah, that's time. No, that's pretty much what we've been doing with the short essays that we've been posting.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Isn't that
some people, including you, Than, and others, have been doing really wonderful writing and making wonderful arguments. And you're using support in your posts, in your discussion posts.
Okay.
So those are fair game for you to use. If you find that there's something that you wrote that you really like, see if that is a point that you could make and turn that into a topic and a paragraph. So you could save yourself time if you find a couple of those that you could use for parent. Then you got to change it up. You know, you got to edit it and revise it. But still, you could be, you know, saving yourself some time by utilizing things that you've already done. And people have been doing some unbelievably good posts.
So I can just really just go over my notes because I saved all my notes, all my drafts.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever, okay, cool, okay. That makes a lot of sense because a lot of the discussion posts that you've been giving to us, a lot of them are kind of related.
Oh yeah, I mean,
So,
that's why I do them. Yeah, that's
right,
why.
okay, yeah.
And all the readings that we've had up to this point have been designed to be useful for support for these topics that I've given.
Yes, and I really want to thank you for that, Professor, because that's one thing I noticed is like from the first reading, how you just kind of led us into everything and how everything just kind of fell in place. I know for me it did, especially the historical aspects of it. You kind of took us from the beginning all the way up to, you know, and that way it's like I really got a good picture.
Mm-hmm.
You sure you're not a history teacher? You sure you just English?
Yeah, maybe I'm a frustrated history teacher, huh? But you know, my father was a history professor. If you look up my father's name on the
So that
internet,
explains it. Okay.
my father's name was Richard Drennan. If you Google him, you'll find out the things that he wrote. He wrote 4 or 5 books, and he was pretty well known.
Okay.
But the thing about history is that it's so important to us, you know, to know our history, to know who we are and how we got here. You know, if we don't know our history, we can't think critically about things that are around us.
Yeah, and some of the readings, like the first reading with about Columbus, you know, I had to put it down a couple of times, you know, and just take a break from it. But you know, it's really, you know, it's good that I'm reading it because it's almost just like what's going on in the news today, almost. Yeah. You know, I want to turn the TV off, but I need to know what's going on.
Right. Right.
So, yeah. So that's good.
Okay. And
that sounds good.
All righty. Any other questions?
No, but I guess I won't have to watch the video.
Right. I think you got it. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
All righty.